Welcome back to another episode of It's Complicated, where I am talking about my complicated life. I'm talking about my complicated life, and in this season, this is season two, where I'm talking about me growing up and being in foster care and things like that. So I feel like if you guys know a little bit more about my story, then you can understand me a little bit more. And the goal is for this to encourage people. I'm not looking for pity or anything like that, but you'll at least know where or why I am the way that I am, why I'm this strong person, why I'm a strong woman, and why I encourage people. So, this episode is about the father that I never knew. Interesting, right? The father I never knew, because I know that you guys, I've mentioned that my father changed my life, but this is the father that I never knew that I'll be talking about today. And when I say that, as a kid, being in foster care and, my mom left, we never knew our dads. At least myself, my brother, and my sister that were placed into foster care, we didn't know who our fathers were. I think my youngest sister was the only one that actually knew who her dad was. Now, whether or not they had a relationship, I don't know. But for me and my other two siblings, we didn't know. The only thing that we were told, and it goes off of what we were told, my brother, his father was from Detroit, and his father had died. That's what we knew about his. My sister, um, we didn't know anything about who her father was at the time. I learned more when I got older, about her dad, but I'll save that for when I get to that part. But for me, like, there was a whole newspaper. It was in the newspaper. It was a newspaper article, and I think I remember seeing it. And if I'm not mistaken, the name that was on there was Reggie something. Reggie something that was named as my father. And I don't know where they came up with that name. I don't know who that man was, but y'all, it wasn't my father. I come to find out, it wasn't my father. I guess my mother had just given that name, but again, later on, I found out who that man was. Um, so I remember the feelings, though. I remember um having the thoughts and like, okay, well, I don't know who he is, because my foster mom would show us, and that was the first time that we had heard of it. And I mean, she would do it in like a condescending way. Um, she would be like, "Your dad is dead. Um, they don't know who your father is, and your dad just don't want you." Like, she would do things like that, and it would definitely tear us down. She did her job. Um, but I never understood. I was like, well, why doesn't he want me? And then at the same time, I always thought, I was like, well, what would I do if he did? I'm looking at my siblings and I'm like, if he ever wanted to get me, then what would they do? Would he take all of us? Or would he just want me? So those things went through our minds, and growing up in a foster home, a single family foster home. Her husband had passed, so it was just her. And she was a cantankerous older lady, y'all. She just wasn't pleasant. She wasn't. I don't know how she passed the test to be a foster mom, but some way, somehow, she did. I don't know. I don't know. But, um, it was hard. Seeing your friends and their fathers in their lives and things like that. We didn't know what it was like to have a father in our lives. We didn't know the impact it would have, how different it would be. So we never had that. And I remember the holidays were just really hard. Father's Day, we couldn't celebrate Father's Day. And Mother's Day, we didn't even want to celebrate Mother's Day because she was just mean. We were like, "You are not our mom. There's no way that our mom would treat us like this." But we did it just out of fear, out of fear, and because everyone else was doing it. So even to this day, certain holidays are a little hard for me. Just remembering Mother's Day is hard for me. It's hard for me. Wanting to do things for your mother on Mother's Day and not being able to do it um is hard. Going out to dinner. You see all these other families that are doing for their parents, and sometimes I just sit there and I wish that I had that relationship with my mom. Um I don't know. I feel like that, if anything, is what'll get me emotional. That does, because I wish I had that relationship with my mom, um to where, I take you to dinner. I do something special for you. Um And not to say that it's something that I could never have done, but we just never had that relationship. My mom was just gone. She was gone, and when she came back into my life, she had her habits. She had her habits. She wasn't very pleasant, but I'll get to that later in the podcast. But um eventually I found out that Reggie was not my dad, and it was kind of like a sigh of relief. It was kind of a sigh of relief, but don't forget, I told you guys that for some reason I always wanted my mom. I always had that yearning for my mom. I always had that yearning for her. Never really anyone else. Never really anyone else. I feel like at some point in time before everything happened, I was probably a mama's girl. I was probably a mama's girl. It feels, I don't know, I don't remember um prior to that, but to me it feels like I had a bond with her. I had a bond with her, and I feel like that's why I knew that she wouldn't be there when I woke up. I had a feeling. Um but in regards to the man on the piece of paper, I don't think anyone really knew who my dad was. My grandmother, anyone. They didn't they didn't know. And I don't really think they cared to know. I don't think they cared to know. Um and I feel like they tried to keep it a secret. Keep it under wraps. And I think the only reason they tried to put a name down there, or did put a name down there, was for government assistance, so they could reap the benefits, which my mother still pays for that to this day, unfortunately. Um, oh man, y'all, I gotta hurry up in this series because it's a lot that I gotta get to. I do, because I feel like right now you guys aren't really understanding, and I'm leaving a lot out because I'm trying to save a lot of info for later when I get to that point in my time in my life. And right now I'm still a little kid going into foster care and the ins and outs of that and stuff like that. But I will say, side note, one of the things that we did in foster care was we were raised in the church. Y'all, we pretty much lived in the church. We couldn't stand it. When I tell y'all, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were in church. If we weren't at school, we were at church. To the point that we were churched out. We didn't want to hear about God. We look. Not only that, when we were at home, we were memorizing Bible stories or Bible scriptures, watching everything that we watched was pertaining to the Bible. But at the same time, when we were in church, we loved children's church because y'all know, didn't nobody do nothing in children's church. And not only that, but they made the stories fun. they made them fun to learn. And I do retain a lot of what I know from that. But I'm as I got older in my life, I'm grateful for it. Right? I'm grateful for it. Now don't get me wrong. I've done my thing, I've gone off on my own. I've done things that I shouldn't have done. I've been places I shouldn't have been. I was that prodigal daughter. I was that prodigal daughter, but because of how I was raised, the fact that I was raised in the church, it always led me back to my beliefs. It always led me back to my beliefs, and I do believe that that is the one thing that saves my life to this day. Um, was the beliefs. So, look, I was raised in church all my life, but I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person, and I think it's more so because I've taken out the religious traditions um of the church, and it's more of a spiritual journey for me. I'd still pray to the same God. I still believe in Jesus. I still believe all of that. I just take out the traditional. Um, and it works for me. I still have my relationship with God. I still pray. I can still quote scripture and everything, because I do believe that the scripture applies to your life, to your daily life, absolutely. But I choose to take out the religious aspect of it. I do. But that's me. But I do say that it has definitely helped make me the person that I am today. It has definitely helped to mold and shape me into this broken piece of pottery that's been glued back together, y'all. I think my vessel has been shattered, and the pieces are just being glued back together. I don't know how much super glue is being used, but I don't know. I think somebody just keeps dropping me. It just keeps dropping me, and I'm trying. I can't even get all the pieces together before someone drops me again. But I'm grateful for how I was raised. I'm grateful, and when I talk about my life, it's not um it's not, like I said before, it's not for pity. It's not for anything like that. I'm grateful that I survived. I'm grateful that I'm here. My life, my story is who I am. It's created me to be this person that I am, and I'm not a mean person. See, this I can say, right? I've gotten to the point to where I know me. I know who I am, and I know where I've been. And my story could have broken someone someone else that may not have the strength to get through it. And I'm not saying it's the worst of the worst, because it's not, but it was rough for me, and I made it through. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And it's become a part of me. It's who I am. And the reason why I tell it is so that it blesses someone else. That someone can be motivated to get through their go through and just have hope. Trust the process. Trust the process. I don't know why my path was my path. I don't know. If I had a choice, would I have chosen an easier path? Absolutely. But I ain't have no choice. I didn't have a choice in it. So we gotta take the path that's given to us and make the best out of it. And I do hope that it encourages someone. I do. I hope that it encourages someone and motivates them and pushes them to get through their go through. I do. Y'all, this one is a short one. It was short. I just wanted to talk about the man that they thought was my dad, but he really wasn't my dad. And I don't know who that. Well, actually, I do know who that man was. I do know who that man was, and I can't wait to get to it. I'm gonna look after I get off of here. I'm gonna just go ahead and record the next one. I am, because I'm motivated to keep talking, but I don't want to change the topic on this one too much more than what I already have. So for now, y'all, I hope that you guys have a great day. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that follow button. Share this to anyone that you feel would benefit from it. And I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Be blessed.